Hello and welcome to this week's race review from the Zwift Insider Tiny Race series. We are now in week number 7 and all 4 races takes place in Neokyo. And the first race just started. Quick begin. The course is railways and rooftops, 5.44 kilometers, and it will end atop the rooftop KOM from the reverse side. So normally you go up by the other side. This side is ridden very rarely, so yes. In my warm-up session I choose this route and I went twice up the rooftop KOM reverse because, as I said some moments ago, normally you don't ride this course very often, and so I thought it would be a good idea to make a recon ride. And yeah, you will see in the end that was a very good decision. We're a big bunch today again. Once again, some more riders than in the last week. 147 riders in the first race. We have 123 finishers on Zwift Power, and also from my team there were, I think, 4 or 5 riders. So it was Jan Ole Kording, Tobias Müller, Przemek Ilski, Chris Hölzel, and me in the B category. And in C we had also 2 riders, Stefan Lenz and Kevin. So yeah, but as you see, as every week, I have only my video material from the B category. So this is the race we are going to analyze. And now we are going to take a left turn, and there's this short kicker up to the railway. So it's time to get in a good position, not too far behind, not too far in the front in the wind. Pulse is under 200, so this is quite okay. And now with over 7 watts per kilogram, now only 6. Yes, you can see Przemek Ilski from my team, and there's another Wattfabrik jersey. And this is perfect position. 5 or 6 riders in front, so you have a good draft and you're not in danger that gaps will open. So far, nice race from the strategy, from the tactics. And yes, you can remember this route for the, I think, second or third race, I think the second one, because at the sprint banner, which you see on the mini-map now, this will be the end of the second course, yes, of the second race. So it's exactly the same route like now, but it will finish there. Okay, but we are continuing. We will get a power up. I think this will be the feather for everyone. And then we are already halfway through the first race. It's pretty fast, about 3 kilometers in under 4 minutes. Yep, it's a feather. Pulse is still okay. We've just reached 200. If this is the first video you see from me, my maximum pulse is 227, maybe 28. So 200 it's okay, it's quite comfy. I can race with this pulse for a longer time, 20-30 minutes. Yeah. And now we're heading to the beginning of the climb, and I was talking with a teammate, with Chris, and he said that he missed the beginning of the KOM, or he was too late, too far behind. That was a mistake from him. And when I was writing this in my warm-up, I remembered that the beginning, directly in the beginning, now when we take the left turn, there's a quite steep kicker, so it would be good to be quite far at the front, because normally some riders will attack or ride with a strong pace. So that was what I was doing. You see, 7 watts per kilogram, 8 watts per kilogram, even some orange numbers. Yes, but it's once again very good positioning from myself in the draft, and I don't have to fear that the gaps will open up. There's a small gap to the first rider, but it's still 1.3 kilometers to go, so this is no problem. You can see C point, B point. This is Chris Benham. Will be one of the strongest rider in this week, almost in every week. This is one of the guys who is also competing, I think, every week. At least every Saturday I can remember. I think Chris was also there, also like Jesse Dekker. You see him on the left bottom from the Netherlands, also very strong in every week, today also. So these are some riders you have to watch for. In the first race, I'm just racing like in a normal race, so I'm not watching for specific riders. In the next races, especially the third and fourth race, I take a look on the GC, who is in the front, who is my strongest competitor, and then I'm riding a little bit different, because I'm focusing more on the opponents. And yes, so, and now I also know from my warm-up session that now will come the last steep part. So now is the time to use the feather. If you use it later, it's flat and the effect is not that big. Chris Benham, I think, is still in the front. Yep. And now is coming Pshimek and also Jesse Dekker. Like I just said, very strong riders. Pshimek is also a very strong rider. And yes, 200 meters to go. A very good position. Third position. Now Pshimek starts just a little bit too early. You will see that he will be catched. And also he's pushed to the outside. And yes, it looks like he... Oh, that's not Pshimek, that was Chris. Sorry. Yes, I will continue after the cut. Okay, so here we are, second race. And yes, I just take a second view at the first race. That was Chris, who almost take the win. He finished on the second place. And Pshimek was also there, but he was on the fourth place. And I was also talking with him. He said it was a very close one. In the game, it looked like he took the third place. But yeah, somehow he was pushed to the outside of the corner, so Chris Benham was able to take the third position, and Jesse Dekker finished on the fifth place. And the other guys from my team, from the Wattfabrik, you can check out our YouTube channel. Tobias Müller finished also on a strong 17th place, and Jan Ole finished on position 90. And in the C category, just for completeness, Stefan Lenz on a good 23rd place and Kevin on 49. Yep. Okay, so we are on the second race. It's called Chasing the Sun. And okay, it's not exactly the same beginning like in the first race, but we will go up the kicker to the railway. And then, like I mentioned in the first race, at the sprint banner, there will be the finish line. Chasing the Sun, 4.42 kilometers. And the power up is a draft boost, so 30 seconds double draft effect. Let me take some coffee out of my Wattfabrik Cup. And yes, so for the first two races, it was the best setup. I think it was a arrow setup. So the specialized Wench S works with a DT Swiss disc reel, because the beginning in the first race was very flat, and also the rooftop KOM is ridden very, very fast. I think you never become slower than 30 kph. And the finish, the last 200 meters are also pan flat, and in this race is even more clear. It's almost completely flat. We have only 33 meters of elevation. Most of it will come from this kicker up to the railway, and from there the last 600 meters are slightly downhill. So yep, the arrow setup is the best. Now you see a lot of riders using the power up, which is a very bad decision. That would make only sense if they are now already completely suffering to stay in the group, but these are riders who were at the front of the pack, so I don't think that they had problems to stay in the group. So this is a wasted power up. You want to save it for the last 30 seconds, because like I said, it's slightly downhill, very fast, over I would say 60 kilometers per hour in average. So yep. And my strategy was again the same: stay in the bunch, not too far behind, not too far at the front, and be there at the kicker. Pay attention. Maybe there are attacks from the lighter riders, because if you're a very, very light rider, you will have no chance in the slightly downhill sprint. So maybe there will be some riders who attack at the kicker. So I was prepared for that. Now I'm still quite far behind, position 108, 100, perfectly in the draft. And yes, it's only 1.5 kilometers. This long left turn, and then there will be the kicker. Yes, the pulse is a little bit higher than in the race before, but that's normal. It will get harder and harder with every race, but this is for everyone. So yeah, I really love this Saturday races, the suffering in the morning. Here in Germany it starts at 10 in the morning. It's a perfect start in the weekend, so you can have for lunch a big cold beer without bad feelings, because you know you have done your work already and you can relax. Yes, now I was a little bit too far at the front in the wind. You can see it in the position of my avatar. Yes, but there were no attacks. The pace was already quite fast, so it was quite difficult to attack. Now it's again a good position. And also the guys who use the power up now, it was quite too early in my opinion. And now we are at the highest point of the route, and from now on it's only downhill. And yeah, my goal was a top 10 position, because I can't push the watts in this uphill finish. I come more by my watt per kilogram. And yes, so far it's a good position. Power up is used perfectly, I would say, and end speed is also good, and I'm quite happy with this. This was a 5th place, Schimek on the 3rd place from the Wattfabrik, and Chris Hölzel on position number 7, so also on the top 10. And then we had Tobias Müller on 35 and Jan Ole Kording again on position 90. And here we are, third race. Let me finish my analysis of the second race. So the win was taken by the Japanese rider Kenta Sato. He finished in the first race on position 8, so it was okay. And the second place was taken by Chris Benham once again. So, like I said, a very strong rider. So now in the third race, like I mentioned in the beginning, I tried to have an eye on Chris Benham, because I realized this would be one of the strongest guys in the field for the GC. He finished third in the first race and second in the second race. So yeah, and I finished on 1 and 5. So quite close in the GC. This route is Spirit Forest. It's quite short again, only 3.4 kilometers. And okay, in Zwift Power, the route profile is wrong. It's an uphill finish. It's almost uphill all the time. In Zwift Power, it's downhill. I don't know what's went wrong there, but yeah. And it's time for gravel bikes, and this is why you see it's quite difficult to stay in the bunch. I had to push a lot of watts per kilogram all the time to stay in the bunch, and you can see in the minimap how stretched the peloton is. I think this is because some riders were on road bikes, like the Tron bikes. You can recognize them very easily because they are so colorful. And these riders have an advantage on the first kilometers or 1.5 kilometer. But then we're turning left towards the KOM, and then it's only gravel till the finish line. So the first part of the race was managed to stay in the bunch with the gravel bike, and after the left turn my plan was to stay at the front. So nothing, no special strategy. Stay in the front, not in the wind, and have an eye on Chris Benham. And if this worked, you will see in the next 2 or 3 minutes. A lot of you will remember this route from the ZRL, but after at the first crossing we are taking the right turn. We are not continuing I call it the normal route to the Tempelkom. We are taking this bypass where it's becomes a little bit flat, and the end is again steep. There you see Chris Hölzel and Tobias Müller from Wattfabrik also quite far at the front of the group. But in the minimap you can see that the field becomes thinner and thinner because more and more riders starts to suffer. I don't know who's in the front in some moments, but there were 1 or 2 riders who were pushing quite hard. You can see it at the bottom. It's constantly in the red zone now. Sometimes a little bit of orange, but mostly now we're in the red zone, and it hurts a lot. See the pulse, 210 almost. Mr. Sato is at the front. And now you have to push over, because now when we take the right turn it becomes flatter and the draft is more useful. So it is very important to push over and stay in the draft. This is the seconds that hurts the most, I think, because you know what I mean if you're a Swifter and a racer, inside, outside. But okay, now you're in the good position, perfect position I would say, perfectly in the draft, and one rider in the front is pushing a little bit, but we're taking him back, There's Tobias Müller again from the Wattfabrik. And yes, then we're taking a left turn. And from there it's only uphill again. And yes, you see the group is smaller. I think maybe 20 riders are left. So at this point I knew, okay, this will be a good position. You can see Chris Benham, C point, B point, and Jesse Decker once again. And yeah, at this point I wasn't sure if I just continue with a steady pace or if I follow some attacks or pace increasings. And yes, it was spontaneous, because I was at a point, it was 50-50 if I wasn't sure if I increase my speed, if I would completely explode or if it would be fine. So I was a little bit passive at the moment. Then I saw Chris Benham is at the front and Jesse Decker is in front of me, so if I want to take the GC, I have to take some risk and follow them. And you see Chris Benham, 5.9 watts, 6 watts per kilogram. I thought, okay, maybe that's it. He can't go faster. And now in this point, you see it in my face. This motivated me a lot. And I was, okay, let's get him, go, 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 go. And you see, the last 2 seconds, I could stop pedaling. And yeah, that was very good timing and very good legs. So yeah, but you see it, I was completely at the end. My dad is standing besides me. You just saw his elbow. Yeah, okay, let's go into the last race. This is the longest race, 6.4 kilometers on the 2-village loop. So I will run it on double pace speed for the first kilometers. But let me give you the result of this third race first. So it was a win from me, followed by Chris Benham and Mr. DT. It's also a well-known name in the Zwift Insider Race series. Jesse Decker finished on the 6th place. And yes, Wattfabrik results. Tobias Müller finished on the 12th position. Chris Hölzel on 27. Where's Pshimek? Jan Ole on 83. And I think I missed Pshimek. Where's Pshimek? Maybe he didn't finish the race. Okay, but you see the beginning there's some gravel, but most of the route is on tarmac. So it's once again arrows set up. I think almost everyone is on a road bike. I saw maybe 1 or 2 riders on a mountain bike or gravel. I don't know if they just forgot to change back on the road bike or if they had the plan to attack, but the speed is so high, you see almost all the time over 4 watts per kilogram, and it's flat, so no chance for an attack. Yes, so we had some issue with the power-ups once again. You will see it also in the chat, maybe. Some riders were complaining of the power-ups because on Zwift Insider it said everybody will get the arrow power-up, and I also got one, you see. But some riders got nothing. I think just the plus and 10 XP, and some got the draft power boost and some got the feather. You will see that some guys, there's a feather for example, and some will use the draft. I don't use my power up now because I want to save it for the sprint. It's a fast sprint pan flat, so arrow power up, I would say it's a perfect one. So I don't use it and risk that I get a feather or nothing. But some guys are using their arrow power up. like I said, I wouldn't have done this because you take the risk to get nothing, and we are still a big bunch, so it's not necessary to use the arrow power up, in my opinion. Yes, now we are on this upper passage, and now we are at the normal speed, I think. Yeah, this is normal speed. And now you will see in a few seconds attacks from Japanese riders. I think 2 or maybe even 3 riders from Japan. And like I've mentioned in 1 or 2 weeks ago, one of my biggest weaknesses in racing on Zwift is that I'm too often too active in following attacks, or I'm getting too nervous. And now you see they're attacking, and I'm like, okay, let's follow them. And we're such a big bunch with over 100 riders, so now it makes for me once again absolutely no chance. It's stupid to follow. That's what I want to say. You see, I have a little bit to struggle to get in the draft. The field is stretched. You take a look on the minimap. Now I am taking once again big effort, 7-8 watts per kilogram to get in the draft. But now they start to slow down, 3 watts, 2 watts per kilogram. So it was completely nonsense to follow this attack. And now you have to once again make a 5-second sprint to get in the draft from the big bunch from behind, otherwise they will just roll over you. And at here somewhere where we are now, there was in a few seconds finish. We are taking 1 lap around this village Onsen it's called. But you see that through this attack the field isn't complete. So maybe 30 riders or 40 riders here in the front. So this is quite good. I have no idea of if Chris and Jesse are also here with me, but you can see Pshimek is here. And yes, so it's also quite difficult to see the riders you want to watch. It's in this big bunch, but it's not that big. 30 riders, 40 riders. And it's 700 meters to go. And yes, when you know that you're in a good position in the GC, or if you're even fighting for the overall win, that pushed me a lot in the final sprint, because you will see it's a very long effort, and I'm pushing up to the very last meter. Yes, so I was very motivated. Maybe I'm a little bit too far at the front, but it's okay. See Jesse Decker, Anderson from SZR, and I thought that one of the 3 guys in front of me was Chris Benham, but it wasn't him. He finished on 18 precision, so everything fine. Now I realize, the 2 Japanese guys in front, Jesse Decker on 4, and so that was enough to take the overall win in the GC. Pshimek finished on 10th position, and Tobias on 56, and Jan Ole on 92. And that's it for this week's race analysis and review. I hope you've enjoyed. If you've enjoyed it a little bit, I would be very happy if you subscribe to my channel, give me a like, a thumbs up, and yes, hopefully we will see each other on next Saturday. Good luck for everybody who's racing the ZRL, and Kette rechts und Abfahrt.